London for the 14th round of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship, the second race in the double header of our London E-Prix. My name is Jack Nichols and I'm delighted to have alongside me this morning in commentary our digital presenting team of Saunders CB and Darren Adetossier. And Darren, what a season we've had so far. We're nearly at the end of it.
I know, it's been incredible. I mean, it's great to be here, both in the comms booth, but also in London town. A home race for us and the championship. But of course, season 8 kicked off in Diriyah in Saudi Arabia. We then moved on to Mexico City, Rome, where Mitch Evans had that double win, which was incredible to see. Monaco, Berlin, Jakarta, Marrakesh, New York City, and of course, London town, where yesterday we had a brilliant race indeed. But today is the day to see who's going to be bringing it home.
Absolutely, and these big pressure on some of these drivers today, Saunders.
Absolutely. I mean, following from yesterday, it's shaken up the championship once again. New York was an absolute mix-about. You know, we saw the likes of Mortara get replaced by this man on screen. Stoffel Vandoorne. Mortara dropped back again in the championship yesterday, so he's got some serious work to do today. We'll see if he's got it in him. This man, Jean-Eric Vergne, is it game over for him? Is the championship still in sight? I'm not sure it is. It's going to take a lot. Whereas the king of yesterday, Jake Dennis, a phenomenal drive. Fastest in free practice 2, quickest in qualifying, pole position. Absolutely smashed it to get the race win as well.
Yeah, this is how the championship standings are, 14 rounds in.
I know, a 24-point lead for Stoffel Vandoorne after yesterday, which puts him right at the top with 173 points. Mitch Evans just behind, and Eduardo Mortara currently in P3.
And it looked for all the world as though Dragon were going to get their first points yesterday, but still Sergio Sette Camera and Antonio Giovinazzi on 0 points at the bottom. Sette Camera was running in the points basically the whole race, to be honest, until he ran out of energy on the absolute final lap. And this is what it does to the team's championship. Big jump forward yesterday, Saunders, for Mercedes.
Absolutely. I mean, it was almost like double points for Vandoorne yesterday.
Yeah.
It's not only the best possible finish he could have had outside of the win, but all of the people around him, bar Evans, not scoring points. It doesn't really get any better than that for him and Mercedes. They get a great position going into this race and then the final 2 in Seoul.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 2 minutes to go before the session gets underway. And this is the circuit here in London, and we will see the cars come down towards the first couple of corners at Victoria and Albert, and then come outside the XL Centre, and then down towards turn 9 at Sandstone, down the back straight, through the quick chicane, Custom House in, and then Custom House out, then through the long right-hander at Cundy Curve, and into the hairpin at the Anchor. That's where attack mode is on the outside. Saw plenty of action there. Actually saw quite a lot of overtaking in some random places yesterday. A few sending it into turn 21 and then out across the line. And that is a lap of the 2.141 kilometre London E-Prix circuit. So that's where we're at. We have got a minute or so before the session gets underway, but it's looking a bit rainy today, Darren.
Yeah, 40% chance of rain, I believe, for later. So, I mean, not too sure the drivers are going to be wanting that, but for us as fans, it's going to be delivering some fun action, I'm sure. Especially
with the indoor-outdoor vibe.
For sure. I mean, it's the great equaliser across motorsport, isn't it, rain? But when you've got this indoor-outdoor surface change, it suddenly throws a whole other thing into the mix, right? It's that surface change, it's the grip levels completely changing from inside to outside, track temperature. There's so much to deal with on a dry day on this circuit. Put a bit of rain in the mix and it's a game changer.
Mitch Evans yesterday, good comeback drive from the Jaguar man, ended up finishing 5th because there was a late penalty for Nick de Vries for his defending against Nick Cassidy. Eduardo Mortara, no points yesterday. Not ideal.
Not at all. I mean, he's got some work to do today, but we've seen the paces there in the car. He's got to utilise it, and we'll see if he can do it today. But yeah.
Yeah, Jean-Eric Vergne, the driver potentially out of title contention, because he is a long way off Stoffel Vandoorne, and a lot of focus on this man, Jake Dennis. I mean, he's such a likeable guy, Jake Dennis. I don't have favourites in Formula E, I really promise, but it's difficult not to like Dennis.
I know, keeping very professional there with the impartiality.
Yeah.
No, Jake Dennis, it was so wonderful seeing him at the top yesterday. Home race for him, but I guess the big question is, will he be doing it today? What do we think, Saunders?
Well, you can't deny the pace and the efficiency that car had yesterday. I mean, I caught up with him after the race, and he was saying that this isn't a very energy-hungry circuit, so it means that Avalanche Andretti can push further into the race than we've seen in other races. So that's what's allowed him to keep out in front. In fact, Jack, to even be up on energy on the people behind him in the closing stages of the race, that's impressive.
No, that's what was really quite surprising, is that he had that energy advantage, even though it wasn't going to be. And well, he was up right from the start. I think he had sort of 1% more than everybody else. So it was really impressive stuff from Dennis. And the whole day just went so smoothly. Quickest in free practice, quickest then in... He was the quickest in every one of the qualifying duels, i.e. the quickest time in the quarterfinal, quickest time in the semi-final, obviously quickest time in the final, and then led the race from start to finish. It was unbelievable. I struggle to think of such a dominant weekend. Nick de Vries in Diriyah one year did the clean sweep, didn't he? Quickest in FP1, quickest in FP2, etc. And okay, there was no FP1 yesterday, but the dominance that Dennis had was remarkable. Evans, as I say, doing well to get back up to 5th place. Get involved on the YouTube comments this morning as well. If that's where you're watching, then ask questions or make comments, and we will bring you into our conversation. James Barkley at Jaguar watching Evans out there, and he needs to do a better qualifying, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. I know the qualifying did not go to plan yesterday for Evans. I mean, impeded slightly by Lucas de Grassi. James Barkley shared his frustration about that on the qualifying stream. But yeah, again, that Jaguar it hasn't excelled in qualifying. That's not where it's been strongest this season. It's been making up positions in the race. A bit of Mitch Evans on the radio there.
He said the brakes taking a long time to come up, so struggling to get the temperature.
Yeah, so will we see it today? One thing I noticed at the end of the race yesterday was how exhausted the top 3 were.
Yeah.
They were physically struggling. Jake Dennis could barely lift the trophy at point, and I asked him why that was. He said the inside section of this circuit is so strenuous on the arms because of that grip level. It takes so much energy just to move the car. So yeah, well, I mean, I imagine going into another race today, it's really going to be a factor of attrition as well.
I mean, someone who really surprised me yesterday was Sergio Sette Camera. Just looking at the YouTube comments there, and FK261 says that they feel sorry for Dragon Penske Autosports and Sette Camera. I mean, when we reflect back on yesterday's race, guys, what did you think of his performance?
Sette Camera's just great. He's just a really, really great driver, and the Dragon doesn't have the efficiency to do a good race. But because it was not so energy limited, he looked all right, but he still ended up having less energy than everyone else, dropping back and then running out, which was a real shame.
I would love to see what he can do in another car, just to see, you know, how he can excel in the race. But excel in the race. There we go. It does just show how Dragon Penske Autosport are struggling with efficiency this season, because you've got the likes of Avalanche Andretti saying they struggle for energy during the race, but yet they managed to turn around a win. So if this circuit isn't as energy hungry as others, and Dragon are still struggling to finish properly, it just says a lot about that package.
Yeah. 26 minutes to go. We're on board here with Mitch Evans as he comes through the second part of the lap, the final part, up the hill into the right-hander, and then out across the line. And Evans does a 1:14.997. That's the first really notable lap time, to be honest. So Evans goes to the top. Freitz actually then goes a thousandth of a second slower. And basically, the reason we're talking about, you know, this track not being energy hungry is because there aren't a lot of heavy braking zones or slow corners that you have to use power, basically, and energy to get out of. It's all quite flowing and smooth, and there's no big braking zones as well where you can regenerate energy back into the battery. So it means that the need for efficiency and being able to manage your energy is not quite as strong here. But if you have a car that just uses up energy anyway, like Dragon do, then there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, and it's going to be hotter today, I think, as well. There's rain potential, but there's a lot of humidity in the atmosphere, so we could see them struggle even more so with energy today. But I would love to see the Dragon Penske guys up there again in qualifying. It'd be great to see, and if they can just maybe have some luck in the race, maybe a safety car just to allow them to save a little bit more energy, it would be good to see them get some points for sure.
Yeah, a little comeback moment from yesterday.
Yeah, and I mean, we see it, don't we, Darren, on social media. There's a lot of Brazilian fans out there that love Sergio Sette Camera, and a lot of Italian fans out there that love Antonio Giovinazzi. So I'm sure they are rooting big time right now. I mean, we can see it in the chat on YouTube. they're rooting for the Dragon Pencil Autosport.
Yeah,
drivers.
guys, if you are tuning on YouTube, let us know where in the world you're watching from, and we'll give you a little shout out.
Seen some people from South Korea in the chat.
Oh, really? Oh, we are so excited to come to South Korea. Beyond excited. Aren't we, guys?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
100%, baby.
Have you ever been?
No, never.
Derek?
No, neither.
No, me neither.
Neither has Formula E. It'll be our first time.
Absolutely, and racing in and out of that Olympic Stadium is going to be really, really cool. 24 minutes to go. Here is the King of London, or something that he should be called, Jake Dennis, into the final couple of corners, and we're going to watch a whole lap here with Jake Dennis as he comes into the final corner, gets a bit of a gap and then floors it. He's running at 220 kilowatts here. You can see on the right-hand side there'll be no coasting, it'll just be blam, straight on the brakes into the first corner. The left and right at Victoria and Albert. And then we come out through the right-hander here. There's going to be a yellow flag. No, it's clear now. There was a yellow flag down here at the Sunborn complex, but it's gone. Lots of lock that he puts in as he comes up into Sandstone.
It's quite an interesting perspective to see, because as Jake was explaining after the race yesterday about how hard it is to turn the car in certain areas of the circuit, you can see it in the way that he's moving the steering wheel. You know, it quite quickly flows around this section, this fast section in the second sector, but when you go inside, you see how much more effort he's having to put in just to turn the wheel.
Down to the anchor. Again, one hand off the wheel there, putting in so much lock. Through the left-hander off Dennis. Dragon keeping out of the way. And then this is the grippier section, so watch it, how much heavier it looks in the final corner. Grips up, out across the line, and Dennis goes P1. A 1 minute 14.122 for Jake Dennis, which will be satisfactory for Roger Griffiths. The whole team were so delighted yesterday. You were in the garage, Darren, in qualifying, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I was. It was so great to see everyone's reaction to Jake. I mean, the energy in there was just so brilliant. Replay there.
Antonio Giovinazzi going around. And then
continuing backwards.
Yeah, getting out of the way.
Doing his own thing.
Did you see Sergio Ceni camera waving at him? That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. Oh, that's one of the best Formula E replays of all time, that is. Wow.
But yeah, going back to Jake's garage, Saunders and I have a thing when we do predictions ahead of every round, and just so happen to end up in Andretti. But Saunders, same way I asked you in Pit Lane Preview Show, who do you think is going to do it today?
I mean, Jake Dennis has got some. It's going to be hard to beat him. I mean, he's so on it yesterday. But I think Nick de Vries might want to bounce back from that, you know, the penalty that he got at the end of the race. He's now, you know, he lost those points that were really big for Mercedes in the team's championship. So I'm sure he's going to be hungry to get those back.
Okay, so maybe one of us waits in the Andretti garage for content, and then one of us outside of Mercedes.
Sounds like a plan.
There we go.
I keep backing Bird. We're on board with him here, and he retired in the first lap. I think every race in London he's retired on the opening lap after ending up in a sort of three-way sandwich, and just the guy can't catch a break this year.
And then last season he came into London top of the standings, didn't he, as well? So maybe there's a bit of trauma there. You know, he needs to get over that. The idea that that's a big loss.
Yeah.
So yeah.
London curse, perhaps. Well, lots of people in the chat rooting for Sam Bird. Also great to see lots of people from Italy, South Africa. I mean, it's all international, baby.
Love it.
That's Formula E. Eduardo Mortara, no points for him yesterday either, after he was involved in that collision with Sam Bird. He, Bird and Verne all got together. De Grassi raced his way through the field yesterday, ended up getting into 9th place from starting at the back, and De Grassi is so good in the races. He's so good in the races, but qualifying just not quite his forte, and he gets a little bit annoyed at us for saying that, but it is sort of true. And he's so good in the races though that he comes through from last on the grid up to finish in 9th yesterday. It was just tremendous.
I don't think there's anyone on the Formula E grid that is better at energy management than De Grassi. I think he just has it down. We've seen amazing comebacks. So cast your mind back to Mexico, I think it was season 3, where the guy has to get a front wing change and a tyre change in the pit stop and ends up winning the race.
Yeah, and I think he was 17th on the grid at the start, then got involved in some chaos, lost his front wing, and yeah, came through to win. It was quite remarkable. Van Dorn in the pit lane. They've just swapped his steering wheel. Stoffel Van Dorn. So maybe a little problem for the Mercedes EQ team. Van Dorn was an interesting one yesterday. I saw him after the race, and it was just like, good job. He was like, yep, thanks. And again, I saw his race engineer in the bar. Well, no, his race engineer walked past the bar, to be clear. I'm not trying to get Laney in trouble. But, and I was like, good job. He was like, yeah, good job. You know what I mean? It was just such a satisfactory second place. It wasn't, woohoo, crazy, we won. It's like, yep, second, good job, championship, good points. So matter of fact, you know.
Absolutely, so humble. And in the press conference yesterday, I was trying to poke, being like, you know, surely you must feel like the championship is in sight now. You've got a bit of the bigger gap you've had all season. And he just doesn't nibble. He says, nope, yeah, race by race, race by race. We'll see how it goes.
No nibbles for Saunders. 18.5 minutes to go. Here is Jean-Eric Verne, who maybe, I think it's a top 3 now. I really think it's a top 3, because what is he? He's on 128 points, Jean-Eric Verne. So therefore he is 45 points. A win today and Van Dorn not scoring. He's almost back in the fight, but to me that's it. James Rossiter, and they're both Diaz Techeetahs really, and this is the thing for Diaz Techeetah, right? Yesterday for Jaguar, they had a bad quali. Evans did a mistake. They could have been in the mix. Diaz Techeetah had no issues. They had no crashes. They had no. It was just that there was no pace in the car.
I know between free practice 1 and free practice 2, DaCosta was complaining about a lot of understeer, and they worked quite late into the night on Friday night to try and fix it. So maybe they just didn't do as much as they thought they could, and he's still struggling with that.
Oh, just heard in Mitch Evans' TV radio that a bit of rain is coming out. Ooh.
Okay, a few drops of rain out there on the outside. They were on board with Evans. You can see a few drops actually on the camera lens as he comes up and back inside. 17 minutes and 12 seconds on the clock. De Vries is quickest at the moment on a 1 minute 13.925. 800ths quicker than Stoffel Van Dorn. Sete Camera in third. De Grassi fourth. Dennis is in 5th position and in the pit lane. And Evans is on a push lap now, straight into turn 1 and 2, where he didn't lock up yesterday. Where he didn't lock up today, where he did yesterday. Verline, I thought Verline had missed the checkered flag yesterday, but in actuality, he just abandoned the lap because it was no good. He'd gone out, he was on his push lap, and he was so far down after the middle sector, they were like, well, no point finishing this lap. So that's why he came into the pit. So that was quite the surprise. And it's quite fun speaking. Porsche said after the last couple of races where we've missed the checkered flag, that's why we went out sort of really early, so we definitely didn't miss it, but it then looked like they'd missed it, but they hadn't missed it. But no pace for the Porsche, man.
It's really inconsistent, aren't they, Porsche this season?
Dennis is now ahead of both Porsche drivers.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Absolutely mad. It's the David versus Goliath story, isn't it? The customer team, or not, you know, the manufacturers versus the customer teams. Porsche, they're just getting left for dead for pretty much everybody else. It's sad to see, but especially with there's so much resource there. This is a team with so much motorsport legacy, yet Formula E not coming as naturally to them as other sports, perhaps.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes they're dominant and unstoppable, and then sometimes they are 8th and 9th all the time. Are you David or Goliath? Which would you rather be?
I'm the stone.
Humble as always.
So it's good to see, though, like the likes of Rocket Venturi and Mercedes, it spices up the championship when the customer team with the same powertrain as the manufacturer team are outperforming. So,
well, that's going to be really interesting next year with Andretti having a Porsche powertrain. We've seen how well Andretti can run a car, so if they're competing with Porsche in the same powertrain, it'll be very interesting to see. Roland hit the wall yesterday in qualifying. That goes up into 9th place now. And that's why he had to start so far back, and then he hit the wall during the race as well. And there's his teammate Alexander Sims, who don't know what happened to him in qualifying, but didn't score any points. Simsy finished in 13th position after his tremendous 4th place in the second race in New York. A full power lap incoming for Lucas de Grassi at the moment. Comes outside and then drops down the ramp into the Sunborn complex.
Just another reminder that if you're watching on YouTube, then any questions you have, any comments, get them in that chat and we can have a look at answering them and maybe give us some shout-outs.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Lucas in the race today. I mean, after yesterday, he must be coming back with such vengeance. I was just looking in the chats and everyone's saying such bad luck for Rocket Venturi.
Yeah, he was furious yesterday, wasn't he?
Yeah. Can you blame him?
I don't know. The thing is, I didn't... They were more frustrated with sort of the process of the penalty. Oh, and there's Oliver Askew. He had a great race yesterday, Askew. 4th place for the American, his best ever Formula E result. And he was running at the front the whole time.
Yeah, great result yesterday for the Andretti team there.
Yeah, and also I saw Roger in the hotel last night, and he was ecstatic.
Was he at the bar?
He'd just heard the news about the penalty, so Oliver Askew moving up a position, even more points for the team. Great news.
Yeah. So Di Grassi does a lap and goes second quickest. Mortara P1, Di Grassi P2. Yellow flag at turn 10, so that's the chicane at Custom House Inn. Da Costa now jumps up into 3rd place, track now clear at turn 10. And Verline's on a full power lap as he starts it now, coming down, or has he just finished it? Across the line he comes and he just finished it, went up into 3rd place. There comes the Jaguar of Mitch Evans out of the final corner. He is starting a full power lap now, Mitch Evans in the Jaguar, as he comes down into turn 1. Through the left and the right at Victoria and Albert. And then he will emerge outside. 12.5 minutes to go. On board with Evans. Up towards Custom House Inn.
I had the fortune of having a go at this circuit on the Mahindra simulator once.
Oh, really?
And it is challenging. My arms were killing just after 10 laps.
Simulators are so heavy. They have them so heavy. Like, and they're not even as heavy as the real cars. It's amazing how heavy they are. But yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it was good. It's amazing how far simulators have come in just the last maybe 5-10 years. The amount of data they can capture from them before a race, it doesn't actually leave a tremendous amount to do once you're on the circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. The teams tend to arrive with a base setup that they're pretty confident with, and especially in Formula E, it's so, because you only get the one day usually. It's so crucial to hit the ground running, basically.
Guys, guess what? If you're joining us at the London E-Prix today, you can also have a go on the track at the simulators in the Allianz E-Village. I'm not gone on it yet.
I actually had the fastest time on Friday.
No, you didn't.
I won 22.3, but I think it's been beaten since.
On Friday, when no one else was allowed in, you had the fastest time. Right? Okay, that's what we're declaring.
At the end of yesterday, and the quickest time was a 1:20, so still only 2 seconds in it, 1:22.3. So I think there's still stuff out there on the track to get. So if you're coming down, have a go. That's the benchmark, 1:22.3.
Right, you guys can do the rest of commentary. I'm going now.
See ya.
You would beat me as well, quite easily. I think.
I don't know. Am I a superb sim racer? There's no evidence of that. Dennis there is lots of evidence.
I like how I've been left out of this. Why has no one got any confidence?
You did good in the accelerate. You had pretty good lap time.
Yeah, there we go. So let's see who's going to win out of us 3. Let us know in the chat.
Dan Ticktum in the Neo. He finished 17th yesterday. In the end, did Ticktum had a difficult qualifying session. Well, he crashed actually, didn't he, in free practice, and the team just about got it ready for the qualifying session, but wasn't quite where it needed to be. And he comes through the anchor now, and this could be a lap where Ticktum, it could be a race where Ticktum and Turvey could score some points, but they didn't actually have a great qualifying, whereas in the past they have tended to qualify well, or reasonably, and then go backwards a little bit. So it was a bit of a frustrating one.
Just having a look at the chat, and Space Wave Sound has said that it's my friend Sam's birthday today, and we're currently on the train to be here for qualifying in the race. So happy birthday to you, Sam.
What a way to spend a birthday.
Tell me about it. Jack, I think there's a request for you to sing happy birthday.
Well, we had to listen to Dan Tixon's radio, so that's why that won't happen.
Okay. Nicely avoided.
Yeah, exactly. No, happy birthday, Sam. And if you are on the train on the way in, then great. It's going to be awesome.
No train strikes today, which is positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a look at Eduardo Mortara. Whoa! Spins at turn 9. Oh,
narrow. Wow.
Spun at turn 9, and then as he was getting back going, was collected by the DS Techeetah. I'm not sure which one that was coming through there, but lucky that wasn't a bigger hit on the wall for Eduardo Mortara. Just brushed it in the end. Oof. There goes Van Doorn down towards the anchor now. Less than 9 minutes to go. I'm always at a racetrack on my birthday. Not always, but quite often.
Where were you for your birthday this year?
Not at a racetrack, but I
Great.
I said often at Zolder. I had 2 years in a row in Zolder, doing the Blancpain GT series, and I think I must have had one somewhere else. Valencia last year, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah? Okay.
Have you? Where do you have birthdays at racetracks?
Mine fall pretty much out of most seasons in October. So yeah. But I'm usually outside of the Formula E season, but often a lot of football on my birthday, maybe.
Okay. 8 minutes on the clock. Jake Dennis is quickest. Pascal Wehrlein in second spot. Third is Stoffel Van Doorn. And look at that, the top 5 covered by less than 0.08 of a second.
Let's focus on these tyres and box this lap.
Box this lap is the message to Stoffel Van Doorn. And they will come into the pits now. Quite busy in the pit lane as the teams change tyres and then get ready to go for one more run at the end of this session with 7.5 minutes on the clock. Dennis quickest, Wehrlein second, Van Doorn, Mortara, de Grassi. Here comes Sete Camera starting a flying lap now.
Just taking a look at the chat, guys, and Cynthia Time asks, were you guys surprised by the amount of overtakes in yesterday's race, as well as the places that they took?
Yeah, actually, because people were, some of the drivers were a bit pessimistic, like they always are, basically, that, oh, you won't be able to overtake, it's tough to overtake. And look, it was tough to overtake, but I don't mind a place that's tough to overtake, because you end up with great overtakes. And that Nick de Vries battle towards the end of the race, I thought was great. Okay, de Vries got the penalty, which I'm a big fan of, honestly, because I thought some of his defending was a little too much. But some of the overtakes into the final corner, we saw a few lunges. We saw Sete Camera. Sete Camera did de Vries. Where did he do de Vries? It was sort of out of nowhere and just sent it. Was it into the anchor at turn 16? I can't remember. But it was really nice to see not just sort of drive-bys while someone's in attack mode and someone isn't. It was real proper overtakes yesterday.
Yeah, I think we were robbed of that Cassidy move on de Vries to see how it would have come to fruition, because he was trying so hard. And, yeah, like you said, de Vries was a little bit aggressive on the defending, but actually de Vries said about that overtake that Sergio Sete Camera did in him, he said it was almost like he could smell the blood.
Oh, really?
he was so aggressive into it, but it worked, it stuck, and he got the position. Ultimately lost it later, but still good for us to watch.
It was Vern, by the way, that man there, who had the collision with Mortara. He was the other DS Techeetah. He was the DS Techeetah involved in that little bump. Has a little swig of water while they change the tyres, and then we'll head back out onto the circuit for his final run. And guess who's at the top of the times now? It's Sergio Sete. Well, now it's Robin Freitz in the Envision. So he goes to the top 4 thousandths, quicker than Sete Camera. Still the top 4 separated by, well, the top 5 separated by exactly 1/10 of a second. Great day yesterday as well for Max Günther, finishing in 8th position. He's on an out lap now, and then he will do a push lap. But Günther, yeah, 8th place in the race yesterday after getting into the duels for the first time this season. And interested to see where he ends up next year. Lovely, just a lovely, friendly man, Max Günther.
Absolutely. I think the Nissan as well this season, it hasn't really been up to the scratch that the standard that we're used to, especially when they first entered the championship as a full manufacturer team. Yep. They were so quick. So I'm curious about what the Nissan Gen 3 era looks like, because they're putting so much resource into it. We could see them hitting the ground running and be very pacey, even in testing in Valencia.
basically on the back foot since season 5, where they did a twin motor thing that was then deemed illegal, and they were so quick at the start of season 5. Oliver Rowland taking pole position after pole position, and Buemi running at the front as well. And then they've just been trying to recover from that ever since. And so the new generation of powertrain should play in their advantage. Gen 3 coming next year.
For anybody that's going to be coming down to the race today, there's actually an incredible Gen 3 kind of immersive experience you can do just at the end of the Excel Centre on the bottom floor, where you can see the Gen 3 car, first look for fans here, but also you can kind of use this system where you choose a livery and these projections and these lights light it up, and the sound of your voice echoes around the room in 360 like a fever dream. It's a really, really good experience. I definitely recommend it if you're coming down today.
There's also the Gen 1 and Gen 2 car there as well, so it's cool to see like the evolution of Formula E from the early days up until now in the future. But yeah, if you haven't seen that Gen 3 car in real life, you definitely have to go check it out. It's unreal.
I might go down there and just start shouting and confuse everybody. 3 minutes and 16 seconds on the clock. Envision 1-2 at the moment. Cassidy ahead of France. Sete Camera in 3rd, Dennis in 4th, Verline in 5th. That lap from Gunter put him 11th quickest on a 13.6, and it was actually 4/10 slower than he had managed previously. Mortara he pushed in the first sector and then backed off in the middle sector and has now come into the pits. So maybe a mistake somewhere in the middle for Eduardo Mortara. Less than 3 minutes to go. Bird in the pits. Currently 12th quickest, Sam Bird. Has the fastest middle sector of anyone. It was the final sector where he was struggling a little for pace yesterday. Here's a look at Eduardo Mortara. Has he hit the wall? Oh, big slide, and he's gone into the wall. Edo Mortara has slapped the Tech Pro going into Custom House.
He's got a lot of work to do today, and he's not leaving anything on the table, is he? He's pushing very hard. We love to see it, but Edo, you can only push so much. You've got to keep yourself in the game.
Difficult qualifying session yesterday for Mortara. Didn't quite manage to make it through and ended up 9th on the grid, and then got involved in all the sandwich at the start and basically spent the race a lap down. I know some of the fans were cheering him through every single lap just to try and spur him on, but it wasn't enough, and the wheel coming off for Mortara, so I think that's the end of his session. Team checking the car over for damage, but didn't hit it too hard, so it should mostly be okay, I would have thought. There's Lotterer in the Porsche. He's currently 22nd, but he's going to jump up the order here because he's only about 2/10 away, so he might be able to get into the top 10. Might be a bit of a stretch. It's so close, the field. 2/10 separate the top 10 cars.
Wow.
So close. I'm just having a look at the chat. Corbin says, it looks like nighttime inside of the track. Corbin, it feels like that when you're in here, but I think during the race it adds such a fun atmosphere to it. We have the music playing, we have live performances. I mean, 3 p.m. or 11 p.m., who knows? Formula E is always a party.
I love what they do with the lights before the race on the grid, kind of picking off car by car the lights and the music. It's almost like it's like a night race. The way the cars light up, it's amazing.
It's and the music thing yesterday.
Yeah, Jack
Nesbitt and stuff. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, same again for anyone coming down today. Jack Jones again performing on the stage before the race.
And then Saunders and Jack are actually going to head up there for a performance too.
A quick DJ set, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mic check.
What would be our DJ name?
Surely you'd be DJ CB. DJ SCB.
DJ SCB, CB Radio.
Yeah, CB Radio. Verne across the line, he was up after the first 2 sectors, but then lost a bit of time with traffic, I think, in the final sector, so ended up going 11th, a quarter of a second away from Cassidy. Vernon Kay, who does our coverage, he DJ'd my freshers at uni.
And you love reminding him of that, don't you?
Yeah.
I think it's the 7th time we've heard that story, maybe.
I've never said it on air, so I thought I would give the listeners the... Right. If we're gonna have a go at me for saying the same thing all the time, wait till the start of the race. It's like, come on, I need a new line, right? Here comes Da Costa into the final corner in the other DS to Cheetah. Vern has gone 12th quickest. Da Costa goes second. Now that is the most encouraging. That is the most encouraging 73 seconds that DS to Cheetah have had all weekend. Because suddenly Da Costa is there in the mix, and that is a huge sigh of relief. I think Rossiter just said finally. I think he just said finally to Nigel Beresford, but yeah, absolutely finally. They look okay. Here comes Dennis through the final corner, takes the checkered flag. Bird goes 15th quickest. Dennis remains in 5th spot. Across the line further back comes Jean-Eric Verne, who was very good in the first 2 sections, as I say, but then looked like he got a bit of traffic at the end. But it is going to be Cassidy who ends the session quickest for Envision, ahead of Da Costa and Freitz. Here's a look at what happened to Sam Bird into Custom House Inn, and he goes straight on and winds his way around the runoff area. So that's why he didn't improve on that final lap for the Jaguar team. Where did our front runners finish? Van Dorn 7th, Mortara 8th, Evans 11th, Verne 13th. So not really huge pace from any of the front runners there, championship-wise.
No, more to extract for sure in qualifying. I mean, who knows what they were going for in this session? They might not have been going straight up for 1 lap pace. It could have been a bit of a program test, efficiency test. Who knows? There's all free practice isn't always about fastest laps, is it? There's other opportunities to get from it.
Lots of data collecting. And also, let's not forget that there is that potential for rain later. So whatever we see here, then we've got qualifying, then we've got the race. It all might be a bit different.
But we know we'll be dry on the grid.
Yes.
That's the nice thing. Few practice starts coming in. Roland into the first corner, then you've got Cassidy on the left and Sims on the right. Cassidy, ambitious, doing a practice start from pole. Pole in 2 of the last 3 races for Nick Cassidy.
Manifesting.
Yeah. Giovinazzi on the right, Van Dorn getting a good getaway. It was such an even start yesterday, wasn't it, from like either side of the grid. In fact, Van Dorn nearly got Dennis.
Yeah, he caught Jake sleeping, and then Nick de Vries almost got Van Dorn as well.
Yeah.
And I saw them before the race on the grid. They were having a chat about their strategy into the first corner, because neither want to hold each other up for the team, but also no one wants to give up the line. Stoffel had the line, but yeah, he almost lost it.
There is Dennis and Bird into the first corners at Victoria and Albert, and then out through the left and outside again.
I love the name of the corners at this track.
I was just about to ask that. Do you come up with them, or are they official naming?
They're normally, I just come up with them. This one I have been in slight partnership with the XL. Oh. And we've had a bit of a chat, and we've kind of agreed on some of these corner names. So yeah, we're trying to make them official subtly.
Maybe we get a corner named after us.
Oh really? Yeah. Which corner do you want named after you?
I'm gonna go for turn 1.
Oh fine. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So turn 1 is Derrin turn.
Yeah. I'll have the quick chicane. The Saunders chicane.
Do you want Saunders in and Saunders out?
Like I'm running for president or something.
Yeah. Well, this is how free practice 3 finished. Envision at the top. Nick Cassidy, the New Zealander. And look how close it was. Less than a 10th with the top 4. Sergio City Camera up there again. Surely Dragon can get some points today. Surely. What can Jake Dennis do on this second day after taking the victory yesterday? The championship leader Stoffel Van Dorn, only 7th quickest, less than 2 tenths away from Nick Cassidy. And then you've got Mortara, Roland, De Grassi, the top 10. Evans, they're lurking in 11th place. But again, so incredibly tight. The top 13 basically separated by a quarter of a second. De Vries and Verne doing an identical lap time of a 13.202. And then Gunter 14th, Bird in 15th, and Dan Tipton and quite a way off the pace. In the end, he ended up slowest. Sims Turvey down there as well, and Sebastian Buemi in 21st position. But Nick Cassidy, quickest after free practice 3.
Very promising for Envision.
So Van Dorn hauls himself out, championship leader. Another good job in that session, basically. Yeah,
and again, it's only really Evans that close in terms of 1 lap pace there.
Yeah.
So again, really confidence inspiring, I guess, going into the race again for Mercedes.
And there is Evans having a nice little chat as he walks back to his garage.
That is Joseph Rocker, his race engineer. Nice of him to go up to meet Mitch at the weighbridge. And Evans, solid that. This qualifying session is going to be so close. Getting into the duels is going to be vital. We always say it, but it's always true. So that's why we always say it. And has a little bit of a beverage, goes to look at the data. You can see all of the information that they have there.
Gosh, I just love the duels. Such a good addition to this season, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so exciting. It's like another race. You know, you get the same buzz watching it, don't you, when the two go up against each other. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, final. Yeah, I absolutely love it. Great addition. Is that Mitch Evans' family behind? Is that his mum and dad?
I didn't quite. I think it might have been, yeah, at the back there. Sam Bird having a chat with the gentleman from Michelin after he finished 15th.
Today, so it's massive compared to yesterday, I thought. Track is in a much better window today. Like, really binding up at turn 6. Like, you can really feel the grip down there. So yeah, I'd say the track is...
Interesting chat from Bird there, saying it feels a lot different to yesterday, the track and the tyres and how they are behaving. You can get involved in Fan Boost, FIAFormulaE.com/Fan Boost, and Degrassi is at the top pretty comfortably at the moment. 37% of the Fan Boost vote for him. Mortara, Van Dorn, Evans and Acosta are the rest of the top 5 at the moment. Nick de Vries just missing out as Mortara looks for Fan Boost again. He's on a good run of Fan Boost form, Mortara, every one of the last 4 when he hasn't had a Fan Boost so far this season. Here's a look back at the highlights of the 3rd free practice session ahead of the London E-Prix. Mitch Evans straight out on circuit. Antonio Felix da Costa following him out. Then the 2 Envisions had a nice little spin for Giovinazzi here, and then watch as his teammate comes down the hill and gives him a big wave. There he goes. Hello. I love it. That's honestly, that might be one of my favourite things that's happened in Formula E. There's a lock-up down at the first corner. Oliver Askew going straight on in the Avalanche Andretti, and he then managed to do a little 3-point turn and get going again. Well, actually, just reverse straight up. Traffic here and there for various drivers. That's a nice little loop recovery. A lock-up and a straight on for Dan Tipton in the Neo 333 down at Custom House Inn. Then Eduardo Mortara at this moment backed it into the wall, and then in his hurry to get going, whacked into Jean-Eric Verne. And those two collided. Sete Camera going around the outside of Buemi down at the first corner and having a lock-up and going straight on. It was Sete Camera who did that spin turn a few moments ago. Always got the style, Sete Camera. Mortara in the walls again. 2 wall hits for Mortara in that session. That ended his session early, but shouldn't be too much damage ahead of qualifying, which gets underway in an hour and a half as Mortara climbs out. And a big lock-up from Sam Bird in the end. But it was Nick Cassidy who ended the session quickest for Envision. Right, qualifying coming up in an hour and a half. A huge thanks to Darren and Saunders, our digital presenting team, for joining me in that session. You can check out their stuff on the Formula E YouTube page and all across social media. Their pit lane preview is tremendous content. But can Jake Dennis double up here in London? Can Mitch Evans get his championship back on track? We'll be back with you in an hour and a half for qualifying.